These animals do not evolve every weapon they use. Some steal them. Survival usually requires millions of years of incremental changes, an endless arms race of adaptation. But a few species have found a way to skip the line. Take the aelid nudibranch. It is a soft-bodied sea slug, brightly colored and entirely exposed on a reef filled with predators. By all conventional logic, it is a vulnerable target. But as documented here in the journal Frontiers in Zoology, the nudibranch actively feeds on highly venomous cnidarians. Instead of digesting the prey's stinging cells, the nematocysts, it swallows them whole. This diagram shows how unfired cells are channeled safely through the slug's digestive tract, traveling outward into specialized storage tips called cnidarisacs. The stolen cache acts as a live minefield. The moment a predator bites the slug, the acquired cells trigger, deploying defensive barbs instantly. By integrating a prey's microscopic weaponry directly into its own biology, the nudibranch achieves a state-of-the-art defense mechanism without waiting generations for its own DNA to write the code. In most ecosystems, the metabolic roles of producer and consumer are kept strictly separate. Animals consume organic matter, while plants produce it from light. The cycloglossan sea slug operates outside this boundary. When it grazes on algae, it digests the plant matter but extracts the chloroplasts, keeping them intact and functional inside its own cells, a process called kleptoplasty. The stolen solar power generates an immediate physiological return. As seen with this Elysia virididis spawning this massive egg ribbon, the energy from photosynthesis allows the slug to sustain tremendous physical output, even during severe food shortages. This schematic outlines the mechanisms keeping these stolen plastids alive. It shows how the solar energy fuels a secondary survival benefit, allowing the slug to overproduce protective mucus to weather environmental stress. The slug actively manages its acquired asset by moving to optimal light or closing its wing-like parapodia to shade the chloroplasts from burning out in high UV radiation. The animal extends the life of its stolen machinery. By hijacking a plant's solar engine, the slug merges two kingdoms of life, turning a temporary theft into a long-term metabolic cheat code. In the vast open ocean, physical size often dictates survival. A 1-inch male blanket octopus floating entirely exposed in the pelagic zone is a clear target for almost every passing predator. Yet this tiny octopus actively targets the Portuguese man-o-war. The length of these trailing blue tentacles represents a massive floating colony armed with lethal, paralyzing stingers. The male octopus deliberately approaches the colony, tears off sections of these toxic tentacles, and holds them securely in its upper pair of suckers. The exact physiological mechanism enabling this is still debated. Researchers do not fully understand the specific immunity that allows the octopus to handle and wield the whips without being paralyzed itself. This tactic is strictly determined by physical scale. While adult females can grow up to 2 meters long, only the miniature males and young females use this behavior, relying on the venom because they lack the physical mass to defend themselves natively. The blanket octopus navigates the ocean's size hierarchy by outsourcing its defense, wielding an acquired biological weapon like a gladiator's whip. Moving to the terrestrial forest canopy, mapped here around Lake Victoria in East Africa, we find an inversion of standard predation. Predators typically hide the evidence of their kills to avoid drawing attention. The assassin bug nymph, Acanthaspis patax, does the opposite. After hunting, it drains the internal fluids from ant carcasses and secretes a sticky binding agent to glue the empty exoskeletons into a towering backpack. For years, researchers debated the function of this massive structure. Some proposed it was a chemical olfactory mask, while others argued it served as a visual disguise against the bug's primary predator, the highly visual jumping spider. This chart shows the results of a controlled glass cage experiment testing that question. When given the choice, jumping spiders attacked the naked assassin bugs roughly 10 times more frequently than those wearing the ant masks. The experiment adds a secondary data point. The researchers repeated the test using dead, preserved assassin bugs. The attack rate remained identically skewed, ruling out the bug's movement, and proving the physical shape of the corpse pile alone breaks the spider's pattern recognition. The bug hides behind the literal identities of its victims, proving that a grotesque disguise can effectively short-circuit the jumping spider's visual pattern recognition. Conventional camouflage is defined by fading into the background, but that definition breaks down when an animal secures its survival by actively forcing predators to look directly at it. The mimic octopus, seen here sitting fully exposed on the dark, featureless sand, specializes in a less tangible form of theft. It acquires the reputations of its more dangerous neighbors. It executes a dynamic, real-time cognitive theft. By rapidly flattening its posture and transforming its shape and swimming style, the octopus actively impersonates venomous animals like flatfish, lionfish, or sea snakes. Projecting the identity of a toxic animal allows it to walk safely across exposed terrain. It borrows the exact fear those specific predators have earned through their own biology. From microscopic stingers and sequestered solar cells to physical disguises, the mechanics all point to the same biological reality. Adaptation is an entirely opportunistic process. Nature's most effective shortcut bypasses the need to invent a power from scratch, achieving survival by simply stealing what already works.